This is the Business Owners IT Podcast with Anthony Gerasch and Ryan Carter, where tomorrow's technology meets today's conversations.
Hi, I'm Tony Gerasch.
And I'm Ryan Carter, and this is the Business Owners IT Podcast.
A podcast where we discuss tips, tricks, and solutions for business owners involving all things tech. So, Ryan, over the weekend, I got a bunch of emails from you.
Yep.
About stuff that you were doing. Don't you like relax over the weekend?
Well, maybe I did it on Friday and just delayed the email, so it looks like I'm working.
Okay, so one of the things that that you did was this thing called Laps, which is a Microsoft product, and it's the first time. I've heard of Laps before, but I recently heard of it on a cybersecurity question for insurance. So one of my customers who has cybersecurity insurance, they asked if they had a solution called Laps. And I'm like, what is Laps? And I had to do some research. And then I talked to you about it. And no sooner than I talked to you about it, you actually looks like you implemented. So talk a little bit about what Laps is.
Well, let's talk about the phone call first about Laps.
Okay, what was the phone call?
Ryan, what's Laps?
Yeah, that's true.
Why aren't we doing it?
Yeah.
You know about this? Why aren't we doing it?
Yes, that's true.
Well, I looked into it, and at one time we needed licensing for it. So Laps is local administrator password solution. It's a Windows type thing. It's been around for a little while. It was you could implement it on your servers. And basically what it is it takes your local admin password, so say administrator, and it stores it, say, in Active Directory, or now it stores it in the cloud for you, where only your admin or global admin signs in. Another thing it does is it rotates that password. So that password can change every 30 days. So if some malicious actor or some ex-employee may have that password, it's going to change every 30 days. So then, it's fresh and new, and that person can't get in anymore.
So every computer, if I have, like in our place, we probably have 30-some computers. Every local administrator password is different now?
Yes. Yes,
okay.
As of this morning.
Okay, and then how did you roll that out? You did it over the weekend, so obviously, some computers are on, some computers are off. How did you roll that out to everybody?
So I should say that it was really difficult, just so, makes it look like
hours,
forever.
60 hours. I got
Long time. Actually, it was, a couple check boxes in the Office 365 admin portal. One I just checked off that we wanted to use it, and the next one I just created the policy and rolled it out. It was a device policy, so the ones that were offline didn't get it, but as soon as they came online, it happened, and I checked it Sunday, so the ones online did it, and then I checked it again this morning, and most of the ones that came online did it, and the ones that haven't come online, I need to look into.
Okay, so in order to be able to do that, though, I know we have Active Directory. We have an Active Directory server internally where all of our hosts and everything communicate to our internal Active Directory server. How does Intune or whatever you're using in the cloud get to our devices? How does that work?
Well, we're hybrid now. To begin with, everything was local Active Directory. The way we made our way to hybrid is, first thing is we migrated from our local Exchange server up to the cloud, which a lot of people have already done, and that put our usernames in Active Directory and in the cloud, and also the devices started replicating. Mm-hmm. And then again, there was a nice checkbox that you do, and it makes it into a hybrid mode for the devices too. And in an earlier podcast, Tony had talked about using the FIDO key to be able to sign in, and that's the way we completed that, is by using...
FIDO key is one of these things, right?
Yep. So we set up the conditional access policy that would allow us to only sign in using the FIDO key into, say, our single sign-on applications, like our remote monitoring and management tool and others. And then with those policies, we're now in a hybrid type state, so it made it real easy to turn on Laps.
Yeah. And so being in the hybrid state is what allows us to do a single sign-on and then only allow access to our tools from our computers. So even though we have a bunch of stuff in the cloud, cloud servers, right, stuff like that, the hybrid is how we can, it's basically using, I think it's called Entra ID now instead of Azure Active Directory, Entra ID. We have this identity, right? So we can tell what computers are ours and then only allow our computers to connect, right, to our software. So the Laps is, so you're able to push it all out, and most of our customers now have premium licenses, and it comes with the business premium.
Yes, it does, and that's the missing piece.
Cool. All right, so that's one thing he did this weekend. I guess he doesn't, his only life is working here. But I got another email that talks about Let me look at it real quick here. Oh, using conditional access for multi-factor authentication. So, before we would look at each user, right, and select MFA per user. What's the benefit of the conditional access? Why did you make those changes, or why are you doing it with conditional access?
Well, the first reason I made the changes is that Microsoft is pushing it that way. Once you have business premium, you'll be able to use conditional access. And Microsoft really wants you to use the conditional access policies for your multi-factor. One of the benefits for doing our older way of doing it, the per user, is that you can just go in that portal and you'd see everyone enabled and disabled. Well, now there's reporting tools like we get through Huntress or just other tools, that we can get with Microsoft that does tell us if they have MFA enabled or not. The beauty of the conditional access piece is it just forces everybody to do it. You have to do it.
Yeah. And so, multi-factor authentication, for you guys that don't know, is basically a second factor that happens when you log into your Microsoft 365. Everybody should have it enabled. And, we also on our website, I think, have some documentation where we show you how to do MFA with PayPal, multi-factor authentication with PayPal. We also show you how to do it with Facebook, right? So them are things at home. So even if you're not a business owner, we would recommend that you set up two-factor authentication with your Facebook, with your LinkedIn, with your PayPal, with any place that you can, so it protects it's one second layer to protect your identity, but it's not foolproof.
No, it's not. We've seen through illegal links in email, that people are able to glean someone's login by presenting a fake login page. I think it's called Evil Jinx is one of the tools that they use.
Yeah, Evil Jinx is basically a portal that allows you, if you get phished, and again, that's why we use FIDO keys, because they're not phishable. So even if our texts get phished, right, they won't be able to put in their, this isn't phishable, so they put in their stuff. It's not going to come up, right? It's not, because the security key doesn't know about it. So even if they go through the thing, the security, it's not going to prompt for the security key. So it's, I'm trying to explain it in layman's terms instead of being technical.
Well, the FIDO key holds to that computer is
Yeah.
really what it does. You can't be on a computer in Portugal and try to insert a FIDO key
Yes.
remotely and do the work. So like that FIDO key, I can't use it if I remote into, say, one of our servers and try to log into one of our tools. I can't use it. I can't use that. I can't use a passkey, anything that's non-fungible type token.
Yeah.
Which is a fun word to look up, guys.
Yeah. And that's been a pain for me, right, too, because there's been times where, I want to do something and I remote into a computer at the office to do some QuickBooks work or some server work or whatever I'm doing, right? And I can't get to my tools because my FIDO key doesn't pass through the RDP.
Yep. I've tried.
It's well worth it.
Yep, I tried everything I could to do it on a test remote desktop server to try to log into our stuff. Would not work, and that was all part of our testing when we set the whole thing up.
All right, so now I got some more emails, and this one's a huge one here. What is all of this stuff that you did? I got to put my glasses on to read it a little bit. Attack surface reduction rules, device guard, DMA guard, firewall. What is all this stuff that you did over the weekend? Because, I don't know, you must have been fighting with your wife or something.
No, we were having a good time. We're having a good time.
Smart screen. There's all these things that you did that I have no clue. I was ready to call you up and ask you, hey, what the heck's going on here? What is all that stuff?
So, you brought up earlier that in your, it was a cybersecurity questionnaire that asked the question about labs. And if any of you business owners out there have been getting these cybersecurity questionnaires, they're getting bigger, longer, with a heck ton more questions. Just a lot. And one of the questions they've been asking is, what is your secure score? Now, with your business premium license and a few other of the smaller licenses, you get what's from Microsoft, what's called security baselines, which is a policy that you can turn on that already has everything there that Tony just said. I didn't write up. I didn't make up. It was actually in one of the security baselines. And I just went through and checked the boxes on what works for our company. The beauty of it is once those security baselines are pushed out and working, they are going to up our security score, our secure score. So I don't have to physically go in there and change the secure score and work it by hand. All I have to do is put in the security baselines, which are just recommendations by Microsoft that are very good recommendations. If you were to look, some of the rules are don't allow Adobe Reader to run programs. Don't allow Outlook to run a exe program or a JavaScript? Why does your Outlook need to be running any type of program? That's just ways that attackers are trying to get in, and that's basically what they do for us. They're going to help bring up the secure score, which is a good thing, but it's also going to actually secure us.
Yeah. So in closing here, one of the big things that happens with insurance, cybersecurity insurance questionnaires, as a business owner, you guys got to answer those things correctly, because the insurance company is always looking for ways to not pay. So if you answer one of those questions wrong, or you answer one of those questions purposely wrong, like you lied, and something happens, their whole goal is to not pay. So they're going to be looking for reason not to pay. So when we do these security questionnaires, we really, really dig into them, and we verify every answer in advance, because we don't want that to happen. So I appreciate you doing all this stuff over the weekend. I mean, it's nice to have another person that's actually, working on making us more secure, instead of me always coming down saying, hey, we got to do this.
Right. And another question, or another part that I wanted to bring up with that cybersecurity questionnaire is, we had a customer where their website was attacked. We don't know because they were using some old databases, and we don't know if the attacker was able to pull that database. They may have been lying and just said, we're going to put that database online. We just couldn't tell. So they wanted to engage with the insurance company to see what the insurance company would do for it. And during the initial review with the insurance company, they actually asked it a directed question towards me, and my answer was, no, they don't do that. Or at that time, they were not doing that. And the person that filled out that security questionnaire, not us, just saying, the person that filled it out did not answer that question correctly, and at that time they were determined, the insurance company would not provide coverage at that point. And it's not something, I'm going to answer truthfully every time. That's just the way you're supposed to do it. So that's...
Yep, you got to answer truthfully. You can't perjure yourself because, somebody didn't take the time to ask for help with the insurance.
Exactly. They just answered the question. They didn't quite know. They thought they knew, but and that's how it goes.
Right. And sometimes these questions are tricky too. And a lot of times what we need to do is clarify. So if we answer it, we also clarify it. We're doing this, this, and this. And, instead of leaving it wide open where, they can come back and say, well, you answered this question wrong. No, I told you what we were doing, this, this, and this.
Yep. And we'll leave screenshots if they allow it to be put in there of them actually doing it. And yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the Business IT Podcast. We hope to see you next week.
Thank you.
Unique Computing Solutions. Your IT challenges solved.